Every dynasty that kept its wealth for centuries followed the same unwritten rules. They were never published, never taught in schools. They were passed down quietly, at dinner tables, in private conversations between parent and child, inside families that understood something the rest of the world never learned: that money is easy to make and almost impossible to keep. The Medici kept their power for 300 years. The Rothschilds built a fortune that has survived more than 2 centuries. The Rockefellers are still wealthy after 7 generations. And when you study these families side by side, different countries, different centuries, different businesses, the same 5 beliefs appear again and again. These aren't tips. They're not life hacks. They are the core operating principles that separate the families whose wealth lasts for centuries from the overwhelming majority that lose everything within 3 generations. Most people violate every one of these without realizing it. In the next 8 minutes, I'll give you all 5. And belief number 4 is the one that almost every newly wealthy person breaks. And it's usually what destroys them. Belief 1. The wealth is not yours. You are only holding it. In families that last, money is never seen as a personal possession to enjoy and spend. It's seen as something borrowed from the generations before you who built it and the generations after you who are counting on it. You are a steward, a temporary guardian, never the true owner. This belief sounds simple, but it rewires every decision. The person who owns money asks, "What do I want to buy?" The person who is merely holding money for the future asks, "What would damage what I was trusted to protect?" One question leads to spending. The other leads to preservation. The families that vanish treat the fortune as a prize they finally get to enjoy. They feel entitled to it. They spend it as theirs. The families that last feel the weight of it, the responsibility of having been handed something they must hand on, larger than they received it. Entitlement spends. Stewardship preserves. And every lasting dynasty raised its children to feel like stewards, never winners. Belief 2. No matter how much you have, you live below it. This is the belief that looks the strangest from the outside. Families with almost unlimited money often live with surprising restraint, modest by the standards of their actual wealth, never spending to the edge of what they could. There's a precise reason for it. Wealth is not what you earn, or even what you have. Wealth is the gap between what comes in and what goes out. The moment a family's spending rises to meet its wealth, the wealth stops growing and starts shrinking. The families that last keep a permanent, deliberate gap between what they could spend and what they actually do. This is why genuinely old money families are so often understated. The worn furniture, the older cars, the absence of constant upgrading. It isn't an inability to spend. It's a discipline never to spend to the limit. They learned that the family that always lives one level below its means compounds its wealth forever, while the family that lives at the edge of its means is always one bad year from collapse. Spending to impress is how new money disappears. Spending below your means is how old money survives centuries. Those first 2 protect the wealth. The next belief is what actually grows it, and it's the one that turns a comfortable family into a lasting dynasty. Belief 3. Money should never sit still, and it should never be consumed. It should own things that produce more money. The lasting families understand that there are only 3 things you can do with $1. You can spend it, and it's gone. You can let it sit, and inflation slowly eats it. Or you can use it to own something productive, a business, property, equity, that generates more dollars over time. Only the third one builds a dynasty. This is why old money is almost obsessed with ownership. They don't want their wealth in things that get used up. They want it in assets that pay them, that produce income and grow in value while the family sleeps. Every generation's job is to take the productive assets they inherited, keep them working, and add more. The Medici owned banking operations across Europe. The Rothschilds owned positions in the financial systems of multiple nations. The Rockefellers owned oil, then everything oil money could buy. In every case, the wealth wasn't sitting in a pile being admired or spent. It was working, owning things that produced. A family that consumes its wealth watches it disappear. A family that owns productive assets watches it multiply. Across centuries, that single difference is everything. Belief 4. Real wealth stays invisible. This is the one almost every newly rich person breaks. The instinct when you get money is to show it, to signal that you've made it, that you've arrived. New money announces itself. The visible car, the loud logo, the lifestyle designed to be seen. And that announcement is very often the beginning of the end. Old money learned, sometimes through hard experience, that visible wealth attracts everything dangerous. Envy, lawsuits, scammers, people who want something from you. Higher prices the moment people know you can pay. Even threats to the family's safety. Loud wealth paints a target. So real wealth went quiet, deliberately. It learned to look ordinary on purpose. But there's a deeper reason than safety. The need to display wealth comes from needing others to know you have it. And that need is itself a weakness. A family secure in its wealth across generations feels no urge to prove anything to strangers. The display is something they outgrew. They keep the wealth invisible not only because it's safer, but because they genuinely no longer care what the outside world thinks they have. This is why the newly rich, who break this rule constantly, so often burn out. They spend their wealth buying the appearance of wealth. And the families that last, who keep this rule religiously, quietly compound in the background where no one is looking. 4 beliefs down. But every one of them would eventually die without the 5th, because the 5th is the one that carries all the others from one generation to the next. Belief 5. The most important thing you transfer to the next generation is not the money. It's the beliefs themselves. This is the belief that makes the other 4 survive. Because here's the fatal pattern that destroys nearly every fortune. The generation that builds the wealth understands all of these principles deeply, but they hand their children the money without handing down the thinking that created it. The heirs get the fortune without the framework. And a fortune without a framework is always, eventually, spent. The lasting families treat the education of the next generation as the single most important investment they will ever make. The children learn stewardship, restraint, ownership, and discretion as children. In small ways, long before they ever touch the real wealth. By the time the fortune reaches them, the beliefs are already who they are. The Rockefellers gave their children tiny allowances and made them track every cent and justify every purchase inside one of the richest households on earth. From the outside, it looked bizarre. It was actually the whole secret. They weren't raising children who would inherit money. They were raising children who could be trusted to keep it. Where the beliefs are passed down, the wealth survives. Where only the money is passed down, it dies. This 5th belief is what turns the other 4 from one person's discipline into a dynasty's inheritance. So here's what to take from all 5. Whether or not you come from money, notice that not one of these beliefs requires already being rich. See your money as something to steward, not just spend. Keep a permanent gap between what you earn and what you spend. Move your money toward things that own and produce, not things that get consumed. Keep your wealth quiet and resist the urge to signal. And if you ever raise children, pass down the thinking, not just whatever money you leave. These 5 beliefs built dynasties that outlasted empires. And the families who held them didn't all start rich. The Medici started as merchants. The Rothschilds started in a cramped ghetto street. What they had wasn't a head start. It was a set of beliefs they refused to break, held across generations. The fortune was never the cause of their wealth lasting. The beliefs were. The fortune was just the result. 5 beliefs, never written down, passed quietly from one generation to the next. Most people break all 5 without knowing they exist. Now you know them. What you do with them decides which kind of family yours becomes.